You've heard all about AI models like ChatGPT. Of course you have. But what if I told you the next huge leap in AI isn't about one single super smart brain, but a whole bunch of them working together as a team? Let's dive into what that really means. So, we're talking about something called an AI agent swarm. The best way to picture it? Think of a beehive, but for artificial intelligence. You've got all these different AI agents, right? Each one has its own special job, but they're all working together, collaborating to solve one big, complex problem. It's a really cool concept, and it's pulled straight from how efficient nature can be.
And the whole point of this is to tackle problems that are just, well, they're impossible for any one AI to figure out on its own. We're not just talking about a small improvement here. This is a massive leap forward. It opens the door to creating AI solutions that are way more robust and can scale up in ways we couldn't before.
Okay, so this all sounds amazing, right? But with all this incredible power and all this complexity, a whole new set of problems comes along with it. In fact, the very things that make these swarms so powerful, their ability to act on their own and work together, well, that's also where the hidden dangers are.
So you have to ask yourself, what happens when that complex teamwork gets sabotaged? What happens when somebody infects the hive mind?
We're getting pretty familiar with the kinds of threats that target a single AI, things like prompt injection. But with a swarm, the potential for attack just explodes. The game totally changes. It's not about tricking just one AI anymore. It's about breaking the trust and the communication that holds the entire team together.
And these new dangers are really sneaky. I mean, think about it. You've got agent impersonation. That's basically a bad guy pretending to be a trusted agent on the team. Then there's coordination manipulation, which is like having a saboteur inside your project who's messing up the plan for everyone. And maybe the scariest one is excessive agency. That's when you give one agent way too much power and it goes rogue with its tools, causing all sorts of damage. Now, I know that all sounds pretty daunting, but the good news is we're not flying blind here. The security world is already on top of this, building out a playbook for how to handle these kinds of sophisticated risks so we can actually use these swarms safely.
And our best guide for this, kind of our North Star, comes from OWASP. That's the Open Worldwide Application Security Project. Their top 10 list is basically the gold standard for spotting security risks, and the version they made just for large language models gives us a perfect framework for understanding how these problems pop up inside a swarm.
And this is where things get really wild. A simple prompt injection isn't just a one-off issue anymore. In a swarm, a bad prompt can get passed from one agent to the next, basically poisoning the whole system. Or think about insecure output. One agent creates some bad code, and another agent, trusting its teammate completely, just runs it. See? It's that potential for a chain reaction that makes securing a swarm such a unique challenge.
There's this expert analysis that just hits the nail on the head. A single, tiny exploit can easily cascade. It's like a domino effect. It finds other little weaknesses in the system and just keeps going, turning a small problem into a massive system failure. In a swarm, one little crack really can bring down the whole thing.
And the stakes get so much higher when you think about these swarms handling really sensitive stuff, like your personal health data that's protected by HIPAA. To secure that, you need surgical precision. We're talking granular access controls for every single agent. Not every bee needs the key to the whole hive. You need rock-solid audit trails to see what every agent did. And of course, everything they say to each other has to be encrypted. So, we've talked about the risks and the safeguards, but how is this stuff actually getting built in the real world? Let's zoom out and take a look at the tools that are making it all happen and what that means for the future. These swarms don't just appear out of thin air. They're built on these really powerful orchestration platforms. Right now, there are three big names that are kind of leading the charge: LangChain, AutoGen, and Crew.ai. And each one has a slightly different philosophy. LangChain is all about being flexible and giving you really fine-tuned control over how your agents work together. AutoGen, which comes from Microsoft Research, has a great security feature. It makes agents run any code they write inside a secure little sandbox, a Docker container, so they can't mess anything up. And then Crew.ai is really focused on having a clear role-based structure, which is a great way to tackle that excessive agency problem we talked about. But here's the absolute bottom line, the most important takeaway. No matter which platform you pick, there's no magic button for security.
These are just tools. They're not a complete solution. At the end of the day, the responsibility to build a secure system falls right on the shoulders of the developer. So, to wrap it all up, AI swarms have incredible, almost limitless promise, but all of that power, all of that autonomy, it has to be balanced with a really thoughtful, multi-layered security plan. It's the classic story, balancing incredible innovation with serious responsibility.
And that leaves us with one final and really critical question to think about. As these swarms get more and more powerful and more autonomous, which they will, how do we make sure our safety nets and our ability to control them can actually keep up? That's the big challenge ahead for all of us.